City Lights is a film that came out in 1931 that's written, directed, and starring Charlie Chaplin. So, City Lights was actually December's subscriber poll winner. It's obviously been a long time since I've done one of these reviews, but now I'm finally back and excited and ready to return to the regular Kino programming. And this is one that's actually quite special because Charlie Chaplin films are arguably my biggest blasphemous cinema blind spot. Because obviously I know a lot about the guy and I've seen so many different, snippets of his work. But I never actually sat down and watched any of his films in its entirety. So, this was something that I was obviously really anticipating and has been a long time coming. Now, after watching City Lights, really the most honest and accurate way to describe my experience with this is just to put it bluntly, which is that I was absolutely blown away by this film. This film is truly spectacular in pretty much any way you can look at it. Obviously this is like my real first exposure to Charlie Chaplin, but if this film is any indication of the rest of his works, which I am, I feel pretty confident that that is the case. I'm pretty sure I'm going to think all of his films are either just as masterful as this or even somehow more mind-blowingly fantastic. It's actually quite difficult to know really where to start with this film because everything about it is just so damn impressive. I mean, the comedy and the choreography for the comedy in this film is insane. The thematic qualities of this film are, not only moving and wholesome in a lot of different ways, but they're incredibly timeless. Comedy's timeless, the themes are timeless, the story's timeless. I mean, this is a film that no matter somebody watches it 100 years from now, this film is going to resonate with them. The comedy in this film and just the humor overall is just expressed so well because obviously a lot of it is slapsticky. Like that's one thing that Charlie Chaplin is known for is his ability to bring effective slapstick humor on the big screen. And yeah, I mean, that's the case with this movie. Obviously, that's not the only thing that this film offers comedic-wise, but this film has a lot of that in it, and it's done so delicately and it's so well thought out. And that's something that is even for 1931, even watching slapstick humor today, it's refreshing to see a film so old that's able to do something that people today can't even get right. Because slapstick humor nowadays is kind of viewed as something that is very lowbrow, something cheap and lazy. But that's like the exact opposite experience that you get when watching City Lights because a lot of it feels risky. A lot of it is, again, as I mentioned earlier, insanely well choreographed. I mean, there's so many different scenes in this film that I can point out where the timing and just the stunt work and the risk taking is, it was like at its peak. There's a scene right at the beginning where he's staring at this like naked figurine and just the timing of, him not falling down into the hole is just, again, it's not only is it risky, but it takes a lot of really delicate and well thought out direction and choreography to pull something like that off. And it's not only is it like effective on screen, but it's just really funny. And there's also a boxing match in the third act of the scene that, again, when it comes to the direction and the choreography, is just on a whole other level. And you can just tell that there's so much passion and so much creative effort that was poured into crafting a scene like that. And it's just, it works so well. Again, even though it's like really cool to see on screen, it's also just a hilarious scene to watch. It works comedically and it works visually. And another thing about this film's comedy that I really, really loved is that it's both silly and dumb, but at the same time, incredibly clever. I mean, the opening scene to this film is a testament to that fact. Because right out of the gate, we get a scene which I'm assuming is like the mayor of the city or some sort of political figure of the city. And we don't actually hear their voices, but we hear like this buzzing, humming sound that's kind of mimicking a human voice. I found that not only just humorous on a silly level, but I actually found it quite clever because on one level, it's kind of mocking the way people in power typically sound. Like what comes out of their mouth is really just a bunch of noise without any level of sincerity to it. But on top of that, I think there's another layer to it where it's actually kind of mocking the idea of talkies because this film actually came out at a time where talkies were already a thing. Sound in film was already becoming like the new standard. And, Charlie Chaplin had, he was offered to make this film into a talkie, but he kind of doubled down and said, no, I want to make this a silent film. And, you know, obviously later on in his career, he started to embrace the sound generation of film. But yeah, in a way, I also feel like it was mocking the idea and concept of, you know, audio and dialogue in film, with obviously the rise of talkies being the new standard. And I also just really adored the romantic element of this film as well, because not only did I just find it incredibly wholesome, but this film's central themes also revolve around the romantic dynamic that's presented. Because throughout this film, we witness a situation to where quite literally it's exploring whether or not love can truly be blind. Is love always going to be reliant on one's appearance and their financial situation? Or can it truly be something that is experienced on a more innocent and unconditional level? And I just love the way that these themes were explored with such sincerity, especially with what builds up to the end of this film, which is such a tear-jerking moment. The ending to this film and the way it concludes, I think, is so brilliant and so touching. And I mean, the execution is just, I mean, it's perfect. There's no real way to beat around the bush about it. It is magnificently done in every way you could think. But overall, I just really love the way that this film was able to explore the relationship between classism and social expectations, and how that intertwines with one's love expectations as well. Yeah, this film is absolutely wonderful on all phases. It's hilarious, it's endearing, it's beautifully choreographed, it's thematically enriching, and the romance overall is just very well built, you know, very well realized and explored with such purpose and delicacy. So I'm going to give City Lights a 10 out of 10. Yeah, this film is a timeless masterpiece. This is a film that you could show anybody in any period of time and they will love it. Doesn't matter what age they are, doesn't matter which era they're living in. I mean, you could show this film to both a 7-year-old and an 80-year-old in the year 2086, and they will both really love this film. And again, this is my first Chaplin experience, so that being said, I am beyond excited to explore all of his other works. But anyways, that's all I got to say about City Lights. If you really enjoyed what I had to say about the film, please give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.